Hey, it's Jsnow, another Magic the Gathering video for you guys. So this one is about Pioneer coming to Magic the Gathering at the end of this year, which was actually not, I don't know if it was actually expected due to all the COVID delays and stuff, but they're actually going to release Pioneer this year along with Amonkhet Remaster, which is a set from Magic the Gathering back in, I think, 2017. And that remaster will have curated cards picked from the Magic Arena scene, both the good ones. They're fun, and they'll be put in a set remastered for August. August of next month, so I'm excited for that. But the Pioneer announcement is pretty interesting, considering the actual state of Pioneer. So the thing is, Modern became way too expensive. So Modern is basically like, I guess if you're not really playing Magic Gathering, it's kind of like playing Standard or Arena, but with older cards back from like around 2010-ish, I want to say. And the problem with that is it uses fetch lands. So what are fetch lands? They're the things that fix your mana. So being able to get out a certain mana card from your deck of there's certain colors is extremely important and makes your deck very consistent in Modern. Tons and tons of decks in Modern use fetch lands, if not almost all of them that are not monocolored. So what happened is, due to the lack of reprints of fetch lands became really expensive, getting to like $100 a piece, and you need 4 of these for every 2 color combinations that you use in your deck. So the problem with that was a lot of people would just quit Modern because, oh, it's way too expensive. And then you have the other side of the coin where people would also quit Modern because of Modern Horizons, but I'll get to that in a second. So let's go on to what exactly is Pioneer. So Pioneer was a format created last year containing sets from Return to Ravnica to now with the instant ban of fetch lands. Fetch lands were banned automatically when they announced Pioneer. So people were interested because they're like, okay, I don't have to shell out $400 for a deck just for lands. So it's very similar to recent standards, and it has easier access due to the lower price point of not needing fetch lands. One of the top tier decks, I think, is only $150. Now, the huge problems with Pioneer is that Pioneer, and this is the first part is more of my opinion, but Pioneer seems to be made due to Wizards' ignorance at reprinting fetch lands at reasonable prices, and it further splits the player base at local game stores. So what happened with reprinting fetch lands is they only reprinted it in expensive sets like Modern Masters 2017, which is a set that goes for 200 plus now, 300 plus, whatever it's at, some crazy price. And then if you look at the fetch land reprint chart, there hasn't been that many reprints, and they're always really spaced out. The last standard set to have reprints was Kanzatakir, which had the lesser, the lesser expensive fetch lands. And the problem with that set is once you got out of rotation for the year, everybody bought out the boxes, and now the boxes are kind of a pain to find for any reasonable price. You might as well just buy Modern Masters at that point. And then when they reprinted the last time fetch lands, they put it in a secret layer, which is basically Wizards saying, oh, we don't look at the scenes. And they decided to price them at $160 plus, and then the LGS is price gouge and blah blah blah. You're paying like $400 for 5 pieces of cardboard again. So, but it hasn't been any meaningful reprints in fetch lands, even in Modern Horizons, which you would think Modern Horizons, a modern set, to reinvigorate Modern. Maybe we can throw some fetch lands in there. So another issue is the LGS. Now, LGSs are a dying thing anyway. So LGS is basically a local game store. That's short for LGS, or long for LGS. And a lot of LGSs don't have a huge player base, so they can't afford to have a split in events. So the issue I'll just use my example, the LGSs near me, we all got hyped up for Pioneer, so people stopped playing Modern. I mean, Modern scene kind of died anyway, but then people definitely did not want to play Modern, because they're like, oh look, Pioneer's a new shiny thing. And then after a while, Pioneer died out because there was really no support for it, and then now we have next to no events. So, now with COVID, we definitely don't have any events, but the problem was Modern players, either they shipped the Pioneer, or if they wanted to keep playing Modern, there wasn't enough Modern players, and I'm pretty sure that's the case for a lot of LGSs, where the Modern scene probably just got eaten alive by the Pioneer hype. And that's how Modern cards definitely dipped in price for a little bit due to that. And then, the other issue is the top tier decks have been a problem since Theros Beyond Death. So, with Dimir Inverter and Lotus Breach taking up almost 50%, or maybe more than 50%, I don't have the exact number, but basically Dimir Inverter, Lotus Breach, and then there's one other deck, take up a ton of the meta in their uninteractive combo decks. Basically, the combo goes off, if you can't do anything about it, you lose, and the Dimir Inverter especially is very easy to get off. It basically requires you to exile your deck and then play Thassa's Oracle, which basically says, win the game if you have no deck. And since the Beer and Bird only costs 4 mana, it's not, I'm pretty sure you can get that out on turn 4 pretty easily, and then turn 5 or whatever, play Oracle, end the game. And if you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs with like a mid-range deck, you're not going to win anytime soon. And then the fun of Pioneer when it first got announced was having so many, but also cards went up in price. It's hilarious. The cards, oh man, I got rid of all those cards as soon as possible because prices were all over the place. But also, the fun of Pioneer was having many viable options when it first came out. Before the format got solved in the first few months. So I was getting killed by like Bolas, Citadel, Artifacts, Spam, Slivers, all different kinds of decks, and now you see pretty much none of that in the competitive scene, or even at the local scene when it was happening, because everybody just switched to the Dimir Inverter, and Lotus Breach, and I think Live to Light was the third one, and then maybe a few other decks. So all these fun decks, like, they just get shut down completely by the Dimir Inverter. Like, you just have no chance most of the time. So, what do you call it? It got solved in a few months, and then Wizards also still hasn't banned any of the problem meta cards, despite online events starting to die out. So this week, the week of July 15th, there's actually been a few Pioneer online events that haven't fired. So if you think about it, all over America, with Magic Online, and people, you have access to that many people, more than LGS of course, and they still weren't able to fire a Pioneer event because the format is just so bad right now. And then their justification for the ban list this week was, oh, we'll have a look at it and we'll just unban Ophanissa. What? Like, everybody's been complaining about this. These Dimir Inverter and Thassa's Oracle, etc. They've been complaining about those cards, and then they don't ban it. They'll say we'll look at it after it's been like X amount of months and the format is clearly dying. The positive of the format. So the good thing is it's a new paper format for Arena. So while you can also play it in Arena, you can also play it in paper. And unlike Standard, people don't like Standard rotation, so if they're playing those cards in Arena, they're more likely to maybe go out and get some Pioneer cards to play with, because they know it's not going to rotate anytime at all, hopefully. Maybe you get Power Crept, which is another problem with Oko and Nexus and stuff like that. But you'll be able to actually purchase your Arena cards and be able to use them for years to come as long as the format is still alive. Who knows? More cards for Historic. Of course, I'm happy about that, because Historic is a ton of fun. In my opinion, I think Wizards shot themselves in the foot with Historic getting too popular due to the fact that Pioneer has to now compete with Historic. And with so many different formats going on in Arena at the same time, like when you click play in Arena, it's like a whole list of things to play. Hopefully the wait times won't be too long due to the ranking system. And then my, my last hope is basically it will have a more aggressive ban list in the future. Maybe not Yu-Gi-Oh! Levels of ban, like we don't need to ban things all over the place, but, to keep the format from getting stale. Like once a deck gets like a 50% plus win rate for weeks on end, it should definitely have some bans. And since this format is made up of newer cards for the most part, I think Wizards shouldn't be afraid of bans due to the secondary market reaction. Even though technically they don't acknowledge it. Yeah, technically they don't acknowledge it, but if a card gets banned in Pioneer, it could probably be used in other formats. So I know a lot of people get really mad when their card gets banned in like Modern or Legacy or something because they invested money into it. But I don't see Pioneer as an investment format. You should not be. I mean, of course, there's money to be made for those secondhand market people and etc. and the Magic financiers. But I don't see Pioneer being a financing format. It should mostly just be a play format. You play the game, you get the cards, etc. If you get banned, maybe you lose out on a couple bucks. But I don't think anything would be too expensive in Pioneer anyway to begin with, so it shouldn't be too bad. So hopefully they don't do like what they did with Nexus Fate in 419, which was abysmal. Oh my god, the banning on that. It even banned it until now for Historic. It was in Standard the entire lifetime, and it was miserable. So, what do you call it? The other thing that's very important, more important than that, is never, ever make a Pioneer-only card set. This would kill the whole point of having a non-rotating format. The best example of this is looking at Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons was a disaster. They basically took a non-rotating format and then added new cards that power crept the crap out of the rest of the cards. And then these cards were Modern format only, also Commander and stuff, but they were Modern only. So you now had to buy new cards for Modern, which defeats the whole purpose of Modern, which is to play with cards that don't rotate. You shouldn't have to buy new cards. You shouldn't have to buy new cards that are only part of that format. It just makes no sense. and we had Hogak Winter, or whatever you call it. It was bad. It was really bad. And it also showed that Wizards wants to double dip their money into other formats. They don't make money off of Modern. Modern cards, unless they reprint the Modern card in the standard set or whatever, and then people buy it up, they don't get any of the Modern money. So they figured, let's make a set only for Modern so we can get money from Modern players. And it kind of backfired, but then it was also a very good set for Commander. So it's really a hard thing to balance, but I think they should just never have a set where the cards are only legal in one non-rotating set. I just feel like that's just really stupid. Other than Commander. Commander makes sense to Commander. Anyway, I thank you guys for watching this video. I'm slightly excited for Pioneer. I'm more excited for Amonkhet Masters. I love Amonkhet, one of my favorite sets. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you have any new information on Pioneer, do you guys still play Pioneer? How's it like, or anything like that? And feel free to subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic openings and stuff like that.